Hello, I'm Citrus, and you're looking at the real grade Tallgeese Endless Waltz. This kit came out in May of 2018, retailing for 2,500 yen. And I know this isn't the most appropriate comparison, but here it is next to the high grade Age 1 normal, which is your average 1144 scale size kit. This kit took me about 15 hours to build, which isn't a short amount of time, but it was definitely made shorter by me using new cutters over my old ones. I covered the experience of what it was like putting this together in my build video, but the short of it is that this kit is incredibly similar to the Master Grade Tallgeese that came out several years ago. Something in the build video I forgot to mention is the amount of trimming that I had to do on the decals. On a lot of the tapered areas like the shoulders and the side skirts, the decal actually extends quite a bit off of the plastic, so for a clean look, you have to trim the edges down. Other essential prep work requires buffing down the clear coat that's on top of the kit if you don't want the decals to stand out too much, because the decals included are matte, but the plastic out of the box is quite shiny. The whole kit, as you can hopefully see, is very detailed right out of the box. I did very minimal painting this time, just a little couple of metallic details on the circles, and that's basically it. The construction this time around is really straightforward compared to real grades of old. The whole thing doesn't feel particularly fragile or anything, and even though you have a lot of moving parts that are attached to each other, they all move around quite naturally and nothing really gets in the way. I originally expected the side skirts here to obstruct the leg motion outwards quite a lot, and as you can see, they actually do a decent job of staying out of the way even when they're connected. And as you can see, if you push it too far, it just simply disconnects, and you can push this rod away so you can't see it anymore, and then you can move the legs as much as you like. Another change on this kit from old real grades is that the hips are solid with a swinging joint in the middle like we typically see on master grades, which means moving the hips back and forth is a very simple affair. Oddly though, there's no lock that holds the hips in the forwards or downwards position, so I'm not really sure why Bandai didn't put one in. You may run into situations where the weight of the boosters on the back will pull the kit backwards like this, but I haven't run into any issues with that so far. As my favorite piece of articulation on this kit are the ankles, which are absolutely amazing, and they are very solid, so they will stay in place without slipping around or crippling under the weight of the kit. Like with most real grades, there is a token cockpit, but as you can see, there's really nothing in it. And the head, unfortunately, is just on a single ball joint. A major gimmick of the kit, of course, are these booster pods, which you're supposed to be able to open. And there is a slide mechanism that you're supposed to be able to use by pulling down on this bit right here. But the problem is it's very hard to reach around and grip that very well. And once you do, there's really nothing else for you to grip onto here that will let you pull it very easily. So it's a little bit tricky. But what you can do instead of trying to force the mechanism to move on its own is to just sort of help everything along a little bit, and then just sort of push that just a little bit. And when it goes all the way down, everything will kind of stay in place like so. And you can see I've adjusted the boosters a little bit so that they're all in the correct open positions, and it look pretty good. And if I shake it a bit, you can see that nothing really flops around. So for the most part, they will stay in place. It's just that don't count on this little mechanism here to like open the whole thing for you, because doing that could lead to some unpleasant results. And of course, the booster pods can be quite heavy. Bandai thought of that, of course, by giving us this lock on the back. So when you pull the chest forwards, it automatically comes loose by itself. But when you open it back up, put it down, you can see that it tabs into this gray piece, which is actually in the waist. As for accessories, we have the shield, and it has this little arm, and I put this on backwards as opposed to it was how it's instructed in the manual, because I like the look of it better this way. And you get two beam sabers that you can store onto the racks inside, and the little handle flips out for gripping. Next accessory is the gun, and if you push the barrel all the way in, you can see it extends this bit out the back, and this piece moves downwards, and when you pull it back out, everything goes back to the original position. Pretty cool. Little swinging mechanism here for the grip. Very, very useful for when this is attached to the arm. and another handle that comes out here, although I don't think the second handle is particularly useful because the poses you can do with it aren't terribly convincing to me. Hopefully with the footage here you can see how posable this kit is. It's very dynamic, and I love that the new joints added to the booster pods gives this kit a great sense of motion. It definitely makes the kit look very exciting on your shelf. Considering that this kit is a real grade, which historically have scared me a lot, and that I didn't really plan on picking this up in the first place, I was definitely very pleasantly surprised by the whole experience. Highly recommended for any of you Gundam Wing fans out there who especially like their kits in 1/144 scale. And not to mention, if you want to get into real grades but you're a little bit intimidated, this is also a great one to start with because it's probably more familiar to you if you've only been building high grades and master grades so far. The whole kit's quite durable. Nothing is very fragile or very easy to break, so you should have a pretty easy time putting this together. That's all for this review. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.